Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. We just hit 28.8k subscribers. Can we get to 29k? Please like this video down below and subscribe before we get started. But today we have to do the Super Tuesday primary, not Super Thursday like Joe Biden has previously stated. The Super Tuesday primary, as many of you guys have known. Pete Buttigieg has dropped out of the presidential race. I mentioned that on my last video briefly, as well as Amy Klobuchar now has dropped out of the race as I am recording this. If there's a new dropout in the next 10 minutes, I apologize. I did not get that in advance. But it seems like the establishment is colluding against Bernie Sanders and trying to help throw this nomination in favor of the establishment and in favor of Joe Biden. So we're going to go through this now, and it's going to be a lot different. Obviously, Pete is still going to get some votes in Amy because you probably had around 40 to 45% in a lot of these states already early vote. In some of the states that had early voting, I'm not exactly sure which ones had which at the time that I'm recording this. However, we are going to go state by state and do this, starting with the American Samoan primary. Now, this one, people might laugh at me, but this is like the first time in American history where they have a candidate running for president from American Samoa, and that candidate is actually Tulsi Gabbard. So I actually think Tulsi might actually win. I could be way off, but I think Tulsi and Bernie both would crack that 15% threshold, and Tulsi finally gets on that map, whether she deserves it or not. I could be very wrong. We could look at this and say, haha, you were miserably off, but I digress. We're going to go through state by state today and fill them out. We have a lot of delegates, many of them at stake in the South. And if Bernie is able to come on top of the delegate count, no matter what, at the end of Super Tuesday, with a lot of these southern states already voting, that's going to be huge for him moving forward. But it seems like it's going to get difficult, and you're going to have a lot of angry Bernie Sanders voters, angry Bernie Sanders supporters, that they're trying to collude against Bernie Sanders. And I'm not a fan of Bernie Sanders, don't get me wrong, but I can sympathize with the supporters because you have a system gone mad. People were trying to do this in the Republican primary. Actually, I don't think they did it enough to try and stop Trump in the rhino view, but apparently Trump was able to prevail regardless. But the Democrat system is way worse than the Republican system, which isn't really that good to begin with. But I had Klobuchar in my preliminary makings when I was going over this last night. I had Klobuchar winning Minnesota. That's not going to happen, but we're going to do this. Let's start with the state of Maine. The state of Maine, I believe it's going to be a four-person race. I'm not going to really take Buttigieg and Klobuchar into consideration that much because a lot of their votes are going to go to Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders, or some cases Warren might get some. But mainly, I believe Biden is probably going to get around 33% of the votes. And I do think that Bernie Sanders is probably going to get well over 50%. Maybe 50%, maybe Michael Bloomberg can get, I guess you would say a little bit less than that in Warren, so they'll be frozen out of delegates. However, I definitely think that, I do think that Bernie Sanders is going to be able to get a little bit more as well as Biden, so we can actually bridge the gap here. So Bernie wins Maine there. Now, the state of Vermont is Bernie's home state. He was at like 60% in the last poll. Nobody else was above 10%. I don't believe anybody else is going to crack the 15% threshold to get delegates. So obviously, I think Bernie's going to take all 16 home for himself. So Vermont goes to Bernie Sanders. Massachusetts is Warren's home state. However, I don't think she's going to be able to win it. However, with Klobuchar out, she'll have a much better chance than she did last night. Especially, you saw a lot of polling that had a lot of Pete supporters going for Warren, which was kind of weird. I definitely think that Bernie's going to come away with probably a 10-point win there. Biden's going to do okay there, and you're going to see Buttigieg be frozen. I mean, not Buttigieg, Bloomberg be frozen out again in a northern state, and Bernie and Biden definitely are going to get the rest of the delegates here. So Massachusetts is going for Bernie Sanders. Now we can do the state of Minnesota. I guess we could do this counterclockwise if we want to. We're not going in a specific order here tonight. But in the state of Minnesota, definitely Klobuchar would have had a decent support base, but that's gone. Klobuchar is no longer running. So apparently Elizabeth Warren is going to get some of her support from the women that are saying, we want a woman because feminism and stuff like that, garbage ideologies, but whatever. So Warren's going to get roughly around 18% in Minnesota. It's a state that she could do well in. Bernie Sanders is going to get the victory, however. He's going to get around 40% of the vote. Joe Biden is going to get some as well. And you could even see the rest of the votes actually go for Michael Bloomberg. And it's going to be hilarious as Minnesota goes to Bernie Sanders. Bloomberg gets 14 delegates. This is the first state he actually gets delegates in. It's going to be interesting to watch. He spent a lot of money. Is it going to pay off? It seems like he may be targeting the South, but will it really matter? I'm really shocked why Bloomberg's in this race. If it seems like the establishment is trying to stop Bernie Sanders, Bloomberg is definitely halting them. Bloomberg is definitely stopping Biden from getting a clear shot at the nomination and potentially setting up a contested convention. Could he just be the DNC's nuclear option because they know Bernie can't win outright anyways? Who knows? There's a lot of 4D chess that goes into this thinking. It's just not the right that does 4D chess. The left does 4D chess in their institutions as well. And it's very, very interesting as they try to undermine what a lot of people, especially young people, want to happen. Again, I'm definitely anti-Bernie. I think Bernie's policies will destroy this country. However, I could easily see why so many people are very fed up at the DNC because the DNC is trying to do everything they can do to stop Bernie. And by the way, they know Bernie can't beat Trump. And that's kind of another delusional grievance I have with the Bernie bros out there. But California, Bernie's going to win this. Biden was at risk of being below 13% for getting no delegates. However, things are different. I think he'll definitely get over 20%. He will outperform. Bernie's still going to win, though. He's going to get in the 30s. Warren was polling fairly high. I believe Warren is probably going to get roughly, 18 to 20% of the vote, especially now with Buttigieg and Klobuchar out. And maybe Bloomberg is going to be able to get the rest of the delegates there. So already California is a big boost for Bernie. Bernie gets 51 more delegates on top of Biden. So that's very, very interesting. As for the state of Utah, Utah is a state that is probably going to go to Bernie just based on lack of voters concentrated in the college towns. I don't believe Warren's going to crack 15 there. I definitely think that Joe Biden is probably going to get around, 30 or so percent. Actually, probably less than that. I believe that the spending in the media markets is actually going to help Bloomberg. Can't forget about him. He'll get some delegates as well out of the whole ordeal. And Utah will go to Bernie Sanders. The state of Colorado is another state that Bernie did well in 2016. He actually won. He shocked Hillary in the state of Colorado. I definitely think with all like the weed stuff there, Bernie, he's been decent on legalization of marijuana, which is probably one of the only positions I can actually agree with Bernie Sanders on, to much of the dismay of my own party and my own movement. I definitely could see Bernie Sanders doing fairly well there in the state of Colorado. In the Biden column, I definitely think Biden's going to do well. He's going to get roughly, 29%. Maybe the rest are going to be split between Warren and Bloomberg, who's going to crack 15. The spending will get Bloomberg over. Bloomberg's probably going to get the delegates. Warren will be frozen out again. So we obviously have to give the rest of the delegates here to the remaining candidates. So the delegate count is accurate. Remember, that is not the popular vote final. That is just the delegate count. So a lot of delusional commenters might not understand this. So right now, looking at the map, it's shaping up to be a very, very big night for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders ahead in California. He'll maintain that. He's basically got the West on lock. Of those 4 states there, he won just 2 of those in 2016. Texas was tough. Can he win Texas? That's another question. He definitely has some of the Austin support and things like that going on for him. Michael Bloomberg is going to take votes away from Biden. I think Bloomberg is going to crack roughly 17, 18% in Texas. He'll spend, and he might be able to relate to some of these new Democrats crossing over from the Republican Party, the new college-educated white voters that are becoming Democrats in places like Dallas, places like Houston. I think they're going to relate to this Republican turned Democrat because that's kind of what they've become in a way. And by the way, Bloomberg attacking Trump on liking his steak, well done. That's actually going to play out well with some Texas, maybe moderate Democrats in Texas there. So I think Bloomberg will gain support there based on that fact alone. I don't think Warren is going to crack the 15% threshold. Maybe she get like around 13. We can edit this later. Bernie Sanders is probably going to win. I think it's going to be a nail-biter, folks. I think Bernie's going to narrowly beat Biden. Biden's been campaigning like a dog there. He's been saying all kinds of stuff. He's been saying we need equal rights and this, that, and the other thing. You know the deal. He's saying vote on Super Thursday and things like that. It's hilarious. But I definitely think that Bernie's going to win the final delegate count. And we have to fill this out here, trying to make it as accurate as possible. I'm not sure it's going to be fully accurate, but when it's all said and done, I could easily see something looking like this, putting Bernie over, and that is it for the state of Texas. So Bernie's doing fairly well. This is definitely a good thing for him, and a bad thing for the stock market, by the way. Part of the reason why the stock market went up is because of this whole ordeal where Bernie was doing so well, and then these other candidates start dropping out, and their support is going to go to Biden, but their support's going to go to Bernie too. A lot of the polls show that Pete's support would have gone roughly even between Biden and Bernie Sanders. Obviously, Warren and Bloomberg getting some support. Klobuchar, however, that's another interesting thing. She endorsed Biden. A lot of her supporters actually could go to Bloomberg, but she was polling at roughly like 3% in most states. So is Klobuchar really even that relevant is my question. I don't really think so. Now, we probably are going to go stray off the path here and give Michael Bloomberg the state of Oklahoma. Part of the reason why is he was leading the polls with like 21% of the vote or something. It was ridiculous. And I say this is a party without a leader, and they're trying to consolidate behind Biden, at least in part of the establishment. It's kind of funny. Bernie Sanders is going to do decently well there. I'm not going to take that away from him. In terms of delegate count, one could even say Warren would do okay. Warren might crack 15 there, based on the fact it is her birthplace, despite the Native Americans hating her. Biden gets the rest. So obviously I want to give Bloomberg the win here just to make the map a little more interesting. Yeah, I know it might not actually happen, but we're going to give the map to Bernie Sanders in the state of Texas. So Texas has turned to Bernie. It was a big Hillary state back in 2016, but that's changed, mainly because other support is more fractured and divided and stuff like that. Now, in terms of Elizabeth Warren, she's not getting any more delegates. I'm just going to say this now. Her black support's not strong enough. So basically, in the next 4 states, all of the support is going to go between Biden, Sanders, and Bloomberg. We'll start with Arkansas. Biden's probably going to win Arkansas. He'll probably get roughly half the delegates there. The rest will be split between Michael Bloomberg and Bernie Sanders in this case, and then that will be final for Arkansas. A similar thing going on with the state of Alabama. Definitely think Bernie could get roughly a quarter of the votes, maybe a little bit less. Joe Biden will probably get around, or roughly maybe a little bit over 50, and the rest are going to go to Michael R. Bloomberg. So roughly now what we see here is Biden can catch up a little bit in these states. There's 3 more states I'm going to fill out. I know this is a long prediction, but we got to keep them coming. I did this all last night, the whole primary, in fact, when I was just messing around with YapMS. It's going to be tight. We're almost destined in every scenario for a contested convention at the moment, but is it certain? We don't really know. We'll see. Tennessee's a state Bernie could do better in. He actually might come close to winning Tennessee for a southern state. However, I don't believe he is going to win. I think that Biden is going to take a big chunk of the delegates as well, and obviously Michael Bloomberg's going to have a shot to spend his money, which he's done, and potentially pick off some delegates. He's already got over 200 delegates tonight, mainly coming from California and Texas, so it's very well anybody's game now. Again, there's only like 3 people with delegates that are in the race right now. That would be Biden, Sanders, and Warren. And Biden's only losing by 6, but Bernie's still leading with 4 primaries already underway. So we'll see what happens. But as for the state of North Carolina, I do believe that's Biden country, despite some polls showing it very close. I think that the late-breaking supporters from Klobuchar and Pete are going to push Biden over the top for sure, plus his overperformance in South Carolina also points to a Biden victory. However, Bernie does still have a support base. I think he cracked 40 there last time in the Democrat primary, so it's still anybody's game. Michael Bloomberg is going to get the rest of the delegates here, and we'll give some more delegates here to Joe Biden. So this is North Carolina. Biden gets to pick off some delegates there. Now for the state of Virginia, definitely Michael Bloomberg is going to get roughly around 21% of the delegates or so. Bernie Sanders is probably going to get about, I would say he's going to do okay. He still has a support base in an establishmentarian state, and Biden will get the rest. I've talked to people in Virginia. Some people are convinced Bernie's going to win. I just don't buy it. But this is what I have right now. So at the end of Super Tuesday, or as our favorite Democratic presidential gaffe master would say, or presidential Senate candidate Joe Biden would say, Super Thursday, Bernie Sanders is leading 573 to 484. He's still got a lead of over 100 electoral, or not electoral votes, delegates. He's still got a decent lead. Warren's a non-factor. Bloomberg gets on the map, but it looks like he may have entered a little bit too late to really make an impact. I don't really know what his purpose is. He's just a big spender at this point. And Tulsi Gabbard won a primary, but it's not really a primary that really matters. So it's very interesting stuff. So anyways, guys, tell me what you think in the comments. But anyways, guys, like this video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. Join the Discord, join the subreddit, join the Patreon, links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.